Hey there folks, and welcome back to the I Am CDB project. I of course am your host CDB, you are not, and today we're going to use Stirling R4L, which is Responders for Life. This is a collaboration between Stirling Soaps and the Florida Wet Shavers group, and they came out with this soap which is based on the Tom Ford Gray Vetiver cologne, and I'll have a little bit more to say about that in a minute. If you're familiar with fine, fresh vetiver, it's very reminiscent of that. To me, this one is not an exact dead ringer for the fine, but it is very, very much like it. And I think they're both loosely based on that Tom Ford Gray Vetiver, or heavily based even. I don't know at what level of inspiration they draw, if it's a dupe exactly, but the Stirling does smell a little bit different from the fine. So if you have the fine already and you're like, oh, I don't want another one, it's not exactly the same. The Stirling to me smells like a little more, lack of a better term, more natural vetiver. The fine is a little sweeter. I think I actually prefer the scent of the fine a little slightly, because it's a little sweeter in its, the way it presents itself. However, I really like both. And this is a really fine vetiver scent. And of course, it's going to be good quality because Rod and Mandy at Stirling, make wonderful, wonderful soaps, as you know, and you've seen a lot of them here on the channel over the past couple of years. I'm also going to be using, by the way, the Timeless OC with the Astra Blade in there. It's been a little bit since I've used the Timeless, so let's take that for a ride today. So a little bit about this particular scent. Back in March of this year, and I actually went back and looked at my emails because, well, let me back up a little bit. Back in early March, a guy named David Munoz and myself were talking about scents that we like, and we mentioned, I mentioned that I like fine, fresh vetiver, and I said, I can't recall what that's based on, and he said, Tom Ford Gray Vetiver, I love it too. And so we kicked it around, and I said, boy, it would be nice if someone else made it, And I said, you know what, I'll reach out to Rod at Stirling and see if he's interested in making it. So I emailed Rod and go, hey, another fellow and I were talking about scents we love, and that Tom Ford Gray Vetiver is really excellent. The only one that I'm aware of, there might be others, but I said, Fine made it, and it's really good. It would be nice to have your soap and aftershave in this scent. And anyway, that was this past March. And then lo and behold, a couple of weeks ago or whenever, this came out. And of course it says it's a collaboration with the Florida Wet Shavers, so I don't know if they happen to have the same scent idea as I did, which is entirely possible. Or Rod just had, already made it and, asked them if they'd like it or whatever. I'm not sure, but we certainly, I remember when Rod responded to the email, he was like, yeah, I'll pick up a sample of that next time I order some frags. And so, well, either way, it's here now, and they collaborated with the Florida Wet Shavers for a charity. All the profits go to the Responders for Life organization, which aids first responders, which is outstanding. And so I'm happy to buy it. Either way, what I wanted to go back to saying was, we certainly recommended this to Rod in March, and they might have been working together even prior to that, and he didn't tell me. But either way, it's here, and it's good for the consumer, and that's all I really care about. It's a wonderful smelling soap, and of course, it's Stirling, so it performs very well. You would expect, of course, nothing less from Stirling soap. Let's just go ahead and lather up. That was a really nice first pass, by the way. I've recommended a few scents to Rod, and he's made a couple of them. He made Piacenza, which is like Aqua di Parma. It's very good. If you haven't tried that one, I suggest you do. And this one, and a few others. Sometimes he's able to make them, and sometimes not. And sometimes, it's a business decision on whether he feels it's something that will sell, because nobody wants to make a bunch of soap that won't sell. But anyhow, this one has come to fruition, and whether it was our idea that inspired him, David Munoz and myself back in March, or the Florida Wet Shavers, either way, it's great for the consumer and for the organization. So for that, I'm very, very happy. And I'm glad he's made this wonderful soap, and it really does smell great. It's a nice, fresh, it's kind of hard to describe. Vetiver is sometimes described as sort of grassy, but it's not, you know, exactly like, you know, cut grass or something like that, green grass. It's got a nice, clean, fresh scent in my estimation. By the way, I haven't talked about this razor thus far, but this is really a fine, fine, fine razor. Now, it is one of the few razors I own that is pricey, but it is efficient and it does a heck of a good job. So please check Timeless out. They offer their satisfaction guarantee. They offer discounts for veterans and emergency service personnel. And they're just wonderful people to deal with, I have found, over the last couple of years. So do check them out. And their open comb design is fairly unique. As you look at this razor, you'll see how those is hooked around like that, this part up top. It's not just straight, so it's smooth, unlike some open combs where you feel it to be a little bit pointy. This one is not, because it's rounded, which is in my opinion, a really, really nice design feature. And it just feels smooth, even though it's efficient, because this one has that 0.95 blade gap, although you don't need, you know, some people don't need a blade gap of that magnitude. You can get it in other blade gaps as well. They don't sell it strictly in 0.95, so you can get it in probably, I think, 0.68 and who knows what else. It's one of the things they offer is sometimes in some of their razors, they offer different blade gaps and so on to accommodate different shavers, and they always have nice presentation. Their boxes are nice. They don't send you a shabby cardboard box with a sticker on it like Asylum used to do for a, you know, $200 or $300 razor, which is, again, I know some people don't like it when I say it, but that's just, it's insulting to the razor itself, in my estimation. Now, I think some of those people who used to do that have changed their packaging, and I remember the folks who made that titanium razor were changing their packaging as well. I can't think of the name of that, but it was like a $300-400 razor, and it came in a chintzy cardboard box, and I talked a lot about it at the time. And you know, again, you don't shave with the packaging, but it's what really sets the expectation. You know, when you look at nice packaging, you expect nice product, and when you look at crappy packaging, you expect less than stellar product, even though that is not always the case. That's sort of what people tend to think. So I say, if you have a very nice razor like some of the razors Asylum make, you know, honor it with good packaging. That's just me, because packaging is not that expensive, not as compared to the unit itself. So spend a couple of extra dollars and get something nice, and let the customer really think he's got something special with other, unlike, you know, something podunk that you found at a flea market or something. That's my view. Now, some people strongly disagree with me on this, and that is entirely okay. We'll just agree to disagree, but I believe you honor good product with good packaging. In the same way that if someone comes to an interview and they're dressed poorly, they may be excellent, they may be a genius, they may be exactly what you need, but your first impression is this person is not either professional, or they're, you know, just don't care that much about their appearance, and therefore they're not going to be that great. And that's why it's important. The way things are presented matters in just about all walks of life. Presentation certainly sends a message, and that's why we talk about it. But anyway, back to my original point. Timeless has good presentation of their products, and they usually put a little microfiber cloth in there and a card about their, you know, product. And so It's a really fine company, and they do things the right way, and they haven't been doing it long, but I think they learned lessons from a lot of other companies and started right out of the gate doing it at least in a way that I respect and like. And so there you go. That's why you'll see me use their stuff on the channel from time to time, or whenever I feel like it and I like to talk about it. Well, let me tell you another thing before we get to the post here in a second. This soap is really, really nice. It's a really fine performer. It's got that great Tom Ford Gray Vetiver scent. It's really thumbs up. So congrats to Rod and the South Florida Wet Shavers. Really nice. Let me rinse the face. We'll come back and get to the post, and we'll also be using the R4L aftershave. Stay tuned. All right, and here we are, back with the magic made by witches. There's Witch Hazel. The other day I had an email from a gentleman who had I think, some rose Thayers lying around for a long time, and he said it was kind of hazy. I could not answer his question as to whether it was still good. I suspect it is, but I don't know because, you know, this one's relatively new, and I primarily use cucumber, and I've never left it around long enough to be hazy because I use it every day, a couple of, you know, palm fulls or a couple of splashes. So a bottle for me lasts, you know, a month or two, and I never have it around very long. So I don't know if, and plus the rose scented one, you know, I don't like rose stuff, so I don't know if it's naturally a little hazy, but I could not answer that particular question. I suggested that he reach out to the good folks at Thayers. Let's do a quick summary of what we used. Timeless open comb, excellent, excellent razor. For my money, this is one of the best premium razors out there, backed by guarantee. They're a good company. They treat people right. Timeless. Check them out if you're in the market for a premium razor. And I really like the scallop head and OC. It is really one of my favorite razors, to be sure. I forgot to mention the Razorock 400. Italian Barber put out a silver one like this, which looks very much like the vintage rubber set. I'll probably pass on that because I think the handle's aluminum and it's, you know, heavier. I don't really like heavy handles, but if you're interested in an old vintage style rubber set look, Italian Barber has a silver one on sale right now, and it's a very nice brush. And of course, we used the Stirling R4L, which is a very, very nice scent, again, reminiscent of fine fresh vetiver or Tom Ford Gray Vetiver, and we are going to finish it off with this aftershave and see how it smells. I already know it smells great. It's a wonderful, wonderful scent, and these Stirling aftershaves are really good value, and that smells nice. So I want to thank, once again, David Munoz for initially discussing this with me and sort of recommend that we get someone to make it. I want to thank Rod for making it, whether he made it based on my suggestion in March or the Florida Wet Shavers is irrelevant because it's great for the consumers. And if you get a chance, you know, I would suggest you check this out if you like vetiver, because this is a charity thing. The proceeds do go for the Responders for Life organization. It's a very good thing, and if you get a chance, take advantage of it and buy it. It's available as a set only. Again, they made this in conjunction with South Florida Wet Shavers, which is a really nice group of folks that really, they have a lot of soaps produced that are really, really nice, and this would be yet another one. So I want to thank everybody for watching me once again today, or joining me, I should say. Until next time, I've been your host, CDB. You're not. God bless.